Okay, boys and girls, buckle up, grab your dog, and hang on. This is going to be a wild ride. Captain Mike here with you again. Today we are going to attempt to make a belt buckle with an inlay. Actually, that's not correct. The belt buckle is already made. We're going to gussy it up a little bit. I've always been fascinated by how people inlaid all this, and until I started fooling with epoxies, I didn't really know, but of course now I do. I'm sure this one was done with a machine or somebody that had way more time on their hands and was being paid absolutely nothing to do it. But anyway, that's kind of where we're going with that. When I decided to do this video, oh, by the way, I've never done one of these. You guys are going to get to see me do it and mess up, or not. But, you know, when I started thinking about this, I got online and I ordered me up some cheap belt buckles. They come in, 3 or 4 different shapes. Pretty much they're all about this size. I could not find any smaller ones. But they'll come in the shape, and then they'll come in different finishes, about 3 or 4 different finishes. But these were the ones that I wanted to fool with. And initially I wanted to do one like this. This was the first idea, you know, because I am Captain Mike, and I thought that that was appropriate. In the meantime, I stumbled across this used belt buckle here. I do not know what the material is. I don't think it's silver, but it's a well-made belt buckle. It's an older vintage belt buckle, and it's got these little bears in it. And I decided my first attempt would be to inlay these bears, and I'm going to do them in a blue as close to turquoise as I could get. Now, before we do anything, let me explain to you what I've got here and a couple of the problems that I foresee right off the bat. The first problem that I see is that the belt buckles are arched. So it's not a problem if these things are really flat. You guys hang on just a minute. I'm going to let my cat back in. Morning, girl. You'll be okay. Okay, this is BC. Say hi, BC. This is my kitty. This is my barn cat. So, anyhow, where was I? Yeah, these things are curved, and the thin ones work okay, just great. Okay, I figure that you can kind of super glue them down where you want them to start with, and then when you pour the epoxy over around them, depending on how you're going to do it, it'll be fine. Problem gets when you start using heavier stuff, and heck, I even got a little Hello Kitty for you people that want to make one with a Hello Kitty in it. But that's the problem, is the curvature. So I can see right now some of the epoxies that dry slower are going to tend to want to migrate to the edges and puddle up. So I've got maybe a fix for that. I don't know. But you can use anything you want for an inlay. As I mentioned, we got a Hello Kitty. I've got, you know, I buy all these little charms. This is a bat. And of course, the color is not important. You can make the colors, get the belt buckle to match. Dragons of all sorts, an owl. Hey, for you Disney people, here's even a little bit of, Tinkerbell. Now, some of these things, like this right here, you're going to have to deal with the ring on it, because you don't want this ring right here. And this is an excellent time to tell you what tools you're going to need. You're going to need a pair of cutters, and I like the kind that are smooth on the back and they make a nice flush cut. You could probably need an X-Acto knife. You're going to need a file of some sort, maybe some gloves if you don't want to get epoxy on your hands, and that's it. What I do is, if I wanted to use this dragon right here, and it's got this little ring right here, I just simply snip it off, just like that. Then I take the file and I file it, and it just takes a minute. You just do it down however you want to do it, and you get that off. If the back is not, in this case, it's kind of raised, you might have to do a little smoothing back here on it. It just depends on each charm. Same with the dragon. The flatter on the back, the better they work. This little dragon right here is a neat one I made, and actually it will fit quite well into one of these if you cut this part off. That's what the X-Acto knife comes in. You can see I take this one, I cut off his little tail, and he'll fit right in there. It's a little better actually. This one, it's just a little bit different shape, and then you can embed the dragon in there, or whatever you want to embed. So that is the tools you're going to need, things that you can embed, and the next thing that you're going to have is going to be some epoxy. Now, you know, to color the epoxy, it's going to need to be either clear or white. Clear seems to work best for me. I have all of them. If you've seen my videos, the video I have on epoxies, and I'll put the, where's it at? Right here. I'll put the notation right there so you can look at it. But you know, this raindrop here is some pretty good stuff, and the advantage to it is you can put it in a little oven and it will cook out at about 150 degrees in an hour or less, just a few minutes. The Duranamel does not cure. It doesn't, let's see, yeah, you can do this the same way in an oven. It's pretty good. It's from Rio Grande, and it comes, you can get the already mixed up resin in different colors, and it works great for that. If I can just figure out how to keep it from running off to the edges while I cook it, that's fine. What we're going to try today is we're going to try to mix up some of this UV stuff, resin, with some coloring. Now, I've used the UV before in my tests, and it works great. It's clear and it hardens in sunlight real quick. I've got this swell little UV pen here, and you know, you just turn it on and it supposedly will work. We're going to see. So with that said, we're going to mix up a little bit of epoxy, and like I said, we're going to do the UV stuff first, because I'm going to put it in this one because it was the original one, and we're going to kind of try to put the stuff in here. It should not harden on me at all until I get it where I want it, and then I'll hit that light with that light and see if that light does it. If not, I'll just go outside and stick it in sunlight. So let's move some of this stuff aside here, turn my bears around where I can see them, and I'm going to go ahead and mix up this stuff and readjust the camera, and we'll go from there. Okay, we've got a little stuff in it. It's a little on the messy side. What happens when you try to get in a hurry? What I'm going to do is scrape a little off. Probably have to do this after it dries. Let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll see if I can't clean it up. So here is the trick. let's just see if this little jewel right here will do the job. Might take a while. Makes it look pretty in blue. Looks like it's doing something, folks. Okay, let's see how it did. Okay. Actually, it looks like it did really good. Can you see? There you go. There's my little bears. I'll clean them up just a little bit more. I'll probably put just a little bit more in there. I have some extra, and I'll go ahead and fill it in just a little bit more off camera. Wish my camera techniques were better than they are, but it's just one of the things when you're by yourself and you're trying to work with this camera on a tripod, it just doesn't do well. Anyway, now, again, this stuff seems to work okay. It is expensive. Okay, and so it does not lend itself well to experimenting, but if you wanted to use it for an application like I'm doing here, I may have to use it on these. You know, I may have to use it on these. We will see. Then it's worth the money. Okay, folks, I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to fool with this a little bit more, and I'll be back and we'll finish this video up. Okay, I have super glued my anchor into my belt buckle so that it won't move around. I have got this Color Pro from Specialty Resins and Chemicals. It dries very fast, as you can see, or sets up very fast, and it's clear. So I mixed a little blue oxide in this, and we're going to go ahead and pour it into this cup here. We're going to have to work fast and see how this works. Alright, we'll stir for just a little bit. Y'all bear with me. Maybe I can cut some of this out. I have never used the oxides in this before. I've used a lot of this resin. It works great for many things. But the oxides, I don't know. Okay, we're going to call that done. Believe it or not, I slopped just a little on my... Okay, there we go, folks. We got this. What we're going to do now, we're going to pour it in here very carefully, and hopefully it don't get on my anchor if I can do this right. And it's going to want a puddle. It's probably going to be a mess. I should have done it a different way, but I didn't. Oh, it's going to be a mess, folks, but we'll see if we can't clean it up. I know what I should have done, and I didn't. In fact, I'm going to do it this way. It's getting hot, setting up. I'd love to know what they used for these other belt buckles. Of course, I have a bunch of them, as you well know, and they're flat. Maybe I can get that. Maybe I can get it off. we're fixing to call this. With this stuff, you have to keep moving it. I'm sorry that the camera is not doing good, but I'm running kinda behind the schedule here. Not schedule. Alright, that's not looking too terrible bad. I got glue all over my fingers. I've got glue I'm going to have to clean off of my anchor, and I think I can, and it's already set up. It started to set up. I was going to use that in something else, but it didn't make it. But that works pretty good. That don't look too half bad for a first one. All right. We'll let that sit for a little bit. I'll do the others and I'll come back and show you what they look like. All right, folks, we're gonna wrap this this little video up here. It is it's been somewhat of an adventure, and by no means anywhere near what I expected or even wanted. But then, like I've told you before, I do these things so you don't have to. Now, I did get in a hurry, and I do have more than one kind of resin to use, but the results on the two resins that I did use were not good, and then I made a couple of mistakes. The first mistake that I made, I'm going to point out to you, because if you try this on your own, you need to be aware of this, and that is belt buckles have a certain orientation. That is so they'll fit on the belt, and so when you put your object, whatever it is, when you line it up, the buckle part needs to be oriented properly so that when you get through, this is not upside down. I did this one upside down to start with. It's not finished, by the way. And I heated it up, tore the old dragon off, put the new one on. And in the process of looking at my adventure today, I noticed that my scarab, which I was quite pleased with in a lot of ways, is also backwards. See, there's the belt buckle, the scarab's upside down. I can salvage this. That's not a problem. I can heat it all up. But be aware of that. If you're going to do a belt buckle, have it oriented properly before you glue and put the the emblem in and put the epoxy in. Now we'll start off with what didn't turn out good. And my little bear did not turn out good whatsoever. You see, it looks rough. All right, I can live with the rough. I can also kind of have polished it down. But this is the UV resin, and it did not harden in here. It's just skimmed over here. I can take and dig it out with this skewer if I wanted to. The idea is sound, and another type of resin will work in here. The UV resin did not work in the metal. It hardens in a latex mold, but it won't harden properly in this metal. Do not know why, and we're not going to really go there in this video. I'll have to experiment with it later, but that will have to be repaired, all dug out, and go over again. No go on the UV resin. Now, this one was looking really good. When I put the blue in, I made a mess, but I let it harden. I dug it all up, or dug it all out, and I poured. There was some air bubbles in the blue. Okay, I said, okay, good. Now I can fix that. So I poured the clear on top of it, and it looked beautiful, except I had to do a whole lot. It's not even. It's a little gappy here and thick on the ends. But again, I'm not taking the time I should take with this. I just want to see if it's a proof of concept, if it will work. So I gassed the bubbles off with or burnt the bubbles off with my little air thing, and my little torch. Got all the bubbles out. It looked beautiful until it dried. It did more bubbles. Now, I can only guess that when they do these, they put them in some kind of a pressure pot or some kind of a pressure chamber, probably by the 100, and degas it. The bubbles go away. But that's not real. I probably won't do anything with it. I'll probably keep this around for grins and giggles. But it's not really acceptable to me. But it will work. It will work. This one also has some bubbles. Other than being upside down, you can see the bubbles. I didn't bother to even go ahead and put the clear in because I figured the clear that I would use today would bubble up also. So I'll clear it up. This one I didn't even bother to put the clear in. I did super glue it down, and I said, that's going to be neat. I thought about just putting the clear over the chrome, but I didn't. So there we have it. You can do the belt buckles. Be aware of the orientation of your whatever emblem you're going to use. And it probably wouldn't hurt if you had some kind of a degassing system. There's lots of stuff on YouTube about how to make them. I don't have one. I probably won't make one. But who knows? I might if I go back to these belt buckles. This was just an idea that I had, and I wanted to see if it would work. And it halfway worked, okay? So that's it, folks. I hope that you learned something. I definitely did. And give it a shot. Buy you some belt buckles and give it a try. Tell me what you learned, and we'll all come out of this thing ahead. It's all about learning. All right. That's my video on how to make a inlay in a belt buckle, and wish I could have done it better for you, but that's it. I'm Captain Mike, and I'm out of here.